Hi everyone, welcome to Latent Studio. In this tutorial, I'm going to be showing you how to use the Generate tool inside the application. As a recap, there are three subtools you should be aware of: the Generate tool, which we're currently in, the Train tool, in which you are uploading images of your product to train an AI model on those images so that model can later be used in the Generate tool, and thirdly, the Pro Edit tool, in which you are submitting select images that you want professionally edited by us if you so require it. So let's get started in the Generate tool. It's important to note that generating images is actually the second part of the overall workflow. Before you do this, if you want to generate images of your product, you will need to train an AI model on those images prior to using that model in generation. So I would encourage you to go and watch the train tutorial prior to trying to do that in Generate. If you want to start generating images before training a model on images of your product, you can do this by using one of our default models, which I will show you in just a second. So let's get started. In Generate, there are a couple of major steps. Firstly, you will need to select a model. So let's navigate over to the left-hand side here. So the first panel here is showing me many options. As you can see, the number of images here. Each of these options corresponds to a single AI model that I have already trained and is ready to use inside the application. So I will go ahead and select this brown leather shoe model here. And as you can see in the background, I've already been using it to generate new images of the brown leather shoe that I have trained this model on. So it's maybe slightly small on the screen here. As you can see, this model has been trained on several images of a particular brown leather shoe that I actually own. And so now we're going to go ahead and reproduce images of this product, but they will look amazing relative to the quality of the iPhone images that I originally uploaded. So I'm going to go ahead and select this model. The next step after selecting a model is specifying a description of the image you want to produce. So anytime you select a model, you will see a prompt automatically fill up in the prompt text box here, and you can begin using that prompt straight away. There are a couple of things to note in the prompt. Firstly, you'll notice this term hashtag object, which may seem unfamiliar at first, and I will explain what that looks like in a second. You'll also see the term here, in this case, brown leather shoe. And obviously, brown leather shoe is describing in general what the product is in this model, which is a brown leather shoe. The way to tell the model that you want to generate the specific brown leather shoe that you've been training the model on, you need to use the term hashtag object prior to writing brown leather shoe. That's why this term is here. Essentially, just telling the model, I don't want any particular, like any old or general brown leather shoe in my images. I want the specific brown leather shoe that I've been training the model on. So that's why you see the string hashtag object here. As you'll see in the instruction, it says include the term hashtag object in your prompt to reference the object your model has been trained on. Now, reading the prompt in its entirety, it reads a photo of a hashtag object brown leather shoe, comma, studio background. And you can read our user guide on how to produce effective prompts. Commas are common, specifying general terms like studio background, help generate a better scene. I would refer you to the user guide to see how you can create more creative prompts, and we'll go over a couple of examples here. So this is the prompt that automatically fills up. The next step is selecting an image size. So let's say I want to generate some square images. So I will select 1024 by 1024 pixels as my aspect ratio for the generated images I'm going to produce. And then I'm going to select the number of images that I want to produce as well. So let's stick with 4. I'll begin generating images just now. So what I can do is I can select generate, and I can do multiple generation tasks at the same time. So I'll start 3, and we'll wait for these to complete. Okay, great. So now the images that I just requested have been completed. I just submitted 3 generation jobs. Each job was to create 4 images. So the 4 images at the top here, in the second row, and in the third row, I just created now. And what I can do is I can browse through these images and I can select the ones that I like the most, that I want to use. Perhaps I want to use this one here. And if that's the case, I can download the image and I can do this for however many images I like. Let's go ahead and modify the prompt and see how this changes the outputs that I generate. So instead of the studio background, I'm going to change this to, let's say, on top of a marble slab. And let's see what we get here. Okay, great. So now the 3 additional generation jobs I just submitted with the new prompt have completed. And so the images you see in the top row, second row, and third row here, I just created now. And as you can see, the generated images are following the direction of my prompt. So instead of the studio background, the prompt interpreted in the initial generations, which created generally a brown background that was pretty minimalistic and had no sort of background details, so to speak. Now, because I specified I wanted my shoes on a marble slab, this is what I'm seeing in the generated images. And again, I can generate lots of images very quickly and browse through these images and select the images that I like or that I want to submit for further editing. And so I can go ahead and do this. I can change the prompt, and through this process, you can produce the scenes that you want to see in your generated outputs for your specific product. Let's go ahead and try to demonstrate the same behavior, but with a different model this time. So now I'm going to go back to model selection, and I'm going to select this model here, which I've named Speaker V6. And in the same way that I have trained the model, I trained the model on images of my leather shoe, I have done the same thing with my personal speaker. And this is a model now that's been trained, and I can produce product photos of this speaker now. As you'll see, the prompt has autofilled in the prompt box to read a photo of a hashtag object portable speaker studio background. So again, we see the term hashtag object, which tells the model that I'm specifically referring to the portable speaker that the model has been trained on, that I've submitted images of. And the type of object is now reading portable speaker, which is correct. And I can go ahead, select the image size, which will stay the same, and I'll continue to generate 4 images. And let's see what we get here. Great. Okay, now so we see the generated outputs for the model that has been trained on images of my personal speaker. So as you can see here, there's some variance in the outputs. Sometimes we see this kind of handle being produced. Now that's actually not part of the product. And so sometimes you'll see the model interpret additional details that you don't want. And the way to solve for this is to continue generating. Generations are extremely fast, so it's easy to generate a very high volume of images and find the image that you like. So in this case, I might select this image here, which very accurately resembles the details of my product, produces the studio background that I want, has the correct shadowing, and I'll go ahead and download this. To give you context, the quality of the images that are being generated here are certainly higher than the quality of the images that have been used to train the model. And that is why this is a useful process to undergo. So I will show to you now the images that have been used specifically to train this speaker model here. And so I will navigate to the train tool where I see all of my trained models. I'll select the speaker model here, and I will let the images, the images that were then used in training, as all the images you see in front of you here are images that were used to train the model. They were all taken on my iPhone. And as you can see, they are typical iPhone images, not the kind of images that I want to use in a commercial setting. But the images that I generate are of a much higher quality and a much better finish. And so I can repeat this process for any products that I choose, so provided that I can train a model on images of those products taken on an iPhone. So that sums up the generation tool. I hope you found this tutorial useful. If you have any questions, we are here to help. Please feel free to reach out to us via email or through the support chatbot in the bottom right corner. Thank you so much.